There is a moment most people are not prepared for, and it does not happen when they are unknown. It happens when they are recognized. The moment people believe they know who you are, they stop engaging with you in real time and begin responding to the version of you that already exists in their mind. That shift removes neutrality and replaces it with expectation, and expectation changes the environment before you even take your next step. Once that happens, you are no longer just present, you are being interpreted. Expectation carries weight because it shapes behavior on both sides of the interaction. The people around you begin adjusting how they respond based on what they think you represent, and at the same time, you begin feeling pressure based on what you believe they expect from you. That combination creates tension that was not there before, and that tension begins to influence every decision you make. If you do not recognize that shift, you will respond as if nothing has changed, and that is where you lose control of the moment. Most people believe consistency is the answer in situations like this because they have been taught that consistency proves strength. They assume that showing up the same way will stabilize the situation and reinforce trust. What they fail to recognize is that consistency in the wrong environment strengthens the perception that is working against them. Instead of reducing tension, it confirms the expectation and accelerates the response of the people watching. Perception moves faster than explanation, and once people form a conclusion about you, it begins shaping how they interpret everything you do. Your words cannot move fast enough to undo what they already believe, especially when the situation is already active. What changes the situation is what people see, because visible behavior forces an immediate reassessment. That reassessment slows people down and creates an opening that did not exist before. This is why disruption becomes necessary, because disruption interrupts certainty and forces people to question their assumptions. When people are certain, they act quickly because they believe they understand what is happening. When that certainty is disrupted, they hesitate because the situation no longer fits their expectations. That hesitation creates a gap, and that gap is where your opportunity begins. That gap is not always about advancing. Sometimes it is about creating space so you can move without pressure closing in on you. Space gives you time, and time gives you options, and options give you the ability to choose your response instead of reacting automatically. Without that space, you are locked into whatever response the situation demands. With that space, you regain influence over what happens next. There are moments where being recognized works in your favor, and there are moments where it works against you. The difference is determined by the environment and the expectations attached to your name. When the environment supports your presence, recognition creates access and influence. When the environment is misaligned, recognition creates pressure and limits your movement in ways that are not immediately visible. Recognizing that shift in real time is what allows you to respond differently. When you sense that the environment has changed, the strategy must change with it. Remaining the same in a changing environment creates vulnerability because it signals predictability. Adjusting your response allows you to protect your position and maintain control over the outcome. This is not about abandoning who you are. It is about understanding how your behavior is being interpreted in the moment. When you adjust strategically, you influence perception instead of reinforcing it. That influence creates the possibility of a different outcome because it changes how others respond to you. Without that adjustment, you are locked into whatever people have already decided. Many people miss this because they are focused on proving themselves instead of reading the situation. They assume that demonstrating consistency will resolve the tension, but in reality, it often confirms the perception that is creating the pressure. When you focus on proving instead of observing, you lose the ability to respond with precision. When you break expectation, you introduce uncertainty, and uncertainty slows everything down. That slowdown reduces the speed of response from others and gives you the ability to reposition yourself. It creates a gap between what people expected and what they are seeing, and that gap is where opportunity exists. Without that gap, the situation continues moving in a direction you cannot control. Understanding this changes how you approach situations where pressure is high and expectations are already formed. It allows you to see beyond the surface and recognize when being known is working against you. That awareness gives you the ability to choose a response that aligns with the moment instead of defaulting to habit. That choice is what creates a different outcome. Recognition is not the problem, but misunderstanding it is. When you understand how recognition shapes perception and behavior, you gain the ability to influence how people respond. That influence allows you to move with intention instead of reacting out of pressure. It shifts you from being controlled by the situation to having control within it. There is also a deeper layer to this, because recognition does not only affect how others see you, it affects how you see yourself in the moment. When you feel the pressure of being known, you can become overly aware of your actions, and that awareness can either sharpen your response or disrupt it. If you are not careful, you will begin performing instead of responding, and performance under pressure often leads to mistakes. Responding requires clarity, and clarity requires awareness of what is actually happening instead of what you think should be happening. When you stay present, you can read the situation, assess the risk, and choose a response that aligns with what is needed. When you react, you default to habit, and habit does not always match the moment. There are situations where your strength is not in proving who you are, but in protecting your ability to move. That protection requires awareness, and awareness allows you to see when the environment has shifted from opportunity to risk. When that shift happens, the strategy must change, and that change is what allows you to remain in control. When you apply this consistently, you begin to move differently in situations that used to feel restrictive. You recognize when recognition is working for you and when it is working against you. That recognition allows you to adjust with purpose and maintain control over your response. That control is what allows you to navigate pressure without being overwhelmed by it. In the end, being recognized is not the advantage or the problem. It is how you respond to it that determines the outcome. When you understand how perception works and how expectation shapes behavior, you gain the ability to influence the moment instead of being controlled by it. That influence is what allows you to move forward with clarity, even in situations where the pressure is high.